Time for another episode of the Political Napalm, and time for Republicans lying once again. So, we've had the curious case of George Santos, a guy who is pretty much on the way out of Congress as we speak because the lies just keep coming with that dude, and he's unable to escape out from under them. Things keep happening, things keep coming to light, and it looks like he's likely going to get voted out soon. But George Santos isn't the only one that is causing quite a stir thanks to their incredibly ridiculous lies. Today we're going to discuss the case of Anna Meyerhofer, aka Anna Paulina Luna, who, if I recall correctly, is down from Florida, and she is representing Pinellas County, a county I actually know a few people in, and it is a county in which the friend that I know that's down there had a real life friend that was somebody they know in person, and that person actually tried to get me fired at one point in time because they didn't like the comment that I made that quote, myself and my boomer parents are making more money now under Biden than we ever did from Trump. It incensed this man so much, he actually tried to get me fired and called me a terrorist and said that he would, quote, give me a punch in the mouth and rip my tongue out if he ever saw me. End quote. Real quality people there. So, Anna Luna, in case you haven't heard of this person, was the first Mexican American woman to represent Florida in Congress. She was making a huge deal when she was running that essentially she is what the left would love to have in Congress. However, she was a conservative, so immediately, of course, liberals, Democrats, anybody left of center was supposed to hate her. But the truth of it is, it's actually not the left that dislikes Anna Luna at all. It's her own constituents. It's conservatives on the right that have not liked her stance on a lot of things. So let's see, conservatives against Luna. Um, it is the it has been the Republicans that have actually been leaving the hateful comments for her. She totally expected the left to be against her, but then it winds up being the right who seems to be making comments against her. Let's check in with Fox News over here. Washington Post bizarre comical profile of Anna Luna littered with errors. The Congresswoman says yes because she's having a meltdown concerning that particular article. And I've often said that, hey, I'm not going to try and do the adjective. So I take that back. She seems to be having a reaction to the Washington Post article, which we're going to get to in a bit. As I've said before, and as the Washington Post has clearly showcased, anyone who is a conservative minority is a threat to the left is control. They can try and discredit me. Yeah, this is a very common narrative among the right. You have Hispanic conservatives, you have black conservatives that often say that when you are conservative and a minority, that you are immediately going to get targeted and that you're going to be a problem because only minorities should go to the left. Well, the 2016 election stats have proved that minorities do heavily favor Democrats and liberal candidates. That's just a fact. However, we should not ever think that somebody who is a minority can't decide to go to the conservative way of thinking. However, you do often wonder how they get to reconcile things in their head. How do they get past the overt racism that certainly occurs? And in the case of that we brought up at a previous video, for example, Caitlyn Jenner, how do you get past the amount of anti-trans and anti-LGBTQIA sentiment that is on the right, and then belong to one of those groups and be on the right? I don't know how you get over that. Um, we've seen so much distaste, even in a recent screed by Trump, saying that the things that he said about trans people and everything, how you're on the right, um, and then go along with that. I don't get. So, of course, no conservative outlet would stand a chance if they dared say someone wasn't Hispanic enough. Yet, this is the main narrative the WAPO's trying to spit. No, it's really not. But we're going to talk about that. So, left out my comments from my mom. Said I was a registered Democrat, did not report a conversation they had with a former roommate, and interviewed family I don't talk to. This is comical. Right. They don't talk to you because they hate you, they think you're crazy. So she's fighting back against this article that we're going to talk about over here, and the lies and everything. As we go down this Twitter thread over here, here's a picture of her with her guns. She essentially got gerrymandered into the position because the county split and she won after the split. So here's a brief little thing about it. Luna stated that she was on the campaign trail, and when she was in an interview with the Jewish Insider in November that said while she identifies as a Christian, she was raised as a Messianic Jew by her father. Messianic Jews identify as Jewish and say they believe that Jesus is the Messiah. I am also a small fraction Ashkenazi, she added when she was talking about Jews living in Central or Eastern Europe. Luna's mother said her father was a Christian that embraced the Messianic faith. So there's some disconnect there, right, with her own mother. She's saying she was raised by a Messianic Jew. The mother is saying that he was Christian. However, three members of Luna's extended family said that her father was Catholic and they were never aware of him practicing any form of Judaism. So that seems to line up with the mother, not the father. George Meyerhofer's father, so Luna's grandfather, was Heinrich Meyerhofer, and he immigrated to Canada from Germany in 1954 and identified as a Roman Catholic. That isn't to say somebody can switch. That is certainly a thing. I mean, if we remember, Madonna famously switched over to the Kabbalah, decades ago. People can switch. You have that choice. So continuing, according to several family members, Heinrich Meyerhofer, who died in 2003, served in the armed forces of Nazi Germany. One of his sons, Edward Meyerhofer, Luna's uncle, provided the Post with what he said was a portrait of Heinrich Meyerhofer dressed in a uniform as a young soldier in Germany. Experts from the Simon Wiesenthal Center who reviewed the photo confirmed the uniform was consistent with members of the Weimaracht. Antonio Luna's service in World War II on social media, tweeting in 2020 was D-Day, stuff. Nicole Meyerhofer, Luna's cousin, and other family members said it was well known in the family that Heinrich Meyerhofer served in the German army in World War II. She said her grandfather at times spoke of his experiences. So, on brand with a lot of what we're seeing from Republicans at CPAC, she's got ties to Nazi Germany in her family. Real good. So here's the article in question. It was gifted to Twitter by a reader, so this one is readable for free. I can put a link down in the description. Here she is showing up to what I believe is Congress in what looks like a Harry Potter outfit, like mythical Republicans that don't lie and where not to find them, is what I like to call this one. 12 years before she was elected, she described herself as alternatively Middle Eastern, Jewish, or Eastern European, known then by her given name of Meyerhofer. She sported designer clothing and expressed support for then President Barack Obama. But at the time she ran for Congress as a Republican, she changed her last name to Luna, in which she said it was an homage to her mother's family. She's a staunch advocate for gun rights, which she cited on the campaign that she had a harrowing childhood. She said she grew up in a low income neighborhood in Southern California with her father in and out of incarceration. Now, this is going to be interesting. She is saying that he was incarcerated. In her response, she was saying, no, he was definitely incarcerated. But wait a minute, corrects comical story. Hold on, let's see what the corrections are. Corrected a story. The clarification at the bottom, we're going to have to do another incognito over here. Let's see what the story has been amended to clarify that Luna's roommate Missouri was the only person interviewed by police after the break-in at their apartment. She was not the only person mentioned in the police report. The initial version stated that only one person, Brittany Brooks, whom Luna roomed with in Whiteman AFB, the Air Force base that's out there, is the only person named in the police report that detailed the burglary in the apartment. A copy of the police report shared with Fox showed that Luna, who at the time was going by the Meyerhofer name, was also mentioned along with the redacted name of an alleged suspect. Then they corrected another error. The initial version stated that Luna had registered in Democrat in Washington in 2017. After Fox requested comment pointing out that Washington state does not register voters by political party, they issued a correction at the top of the story based on an erroneous voter registration database. We have corrected one piece based on the database information. This deeply reported story about her biography includes ample perspectives from people who've known her throughout her life. Luna's blasting it, saying it's comical. Most of the post reporting was based on statements from Brooks, who Luna says is no longer a friend and is untrustworthy. Of course, it's the Trump saying, I don't know him or her, and then the pictures come out of them palling around at parties and everything. Lamar Carson, a colleague and former roommate of Luna, but did not appear to use any information from him. That's a little suspect. If this is true, this does not look good for the WAPO because maybe it doesn't fit the narrative that they're mostly basing their story around. However, this part over here that, anytime somebody is a minority, they're not allowed to be conservative. So I did just pull this up before the video. So here's the correction. A previous version of the article incorrectly stated that Luna was registered as a Democrat, but it's an erroneous voter database. I'm going to skip to the end and see if there's any corrections down here. This story has been amended to clarify that Luna's roommate in Missouri was the only person interviewed by the police after the break-in. She was not the only person mentioned in the police report. Okay. So let's get back to the potential lies at hand over here. She would really change who she was based on what fit the situation best at the time, Brittany said. Her congressional office did not provide answers when approached in person. She claimed she hadn't received any inquiry from the Post and declined to comment further. She seems to have her comments now. On Friday, the communication director for her said that the questions were bizarre and the office won't be responding further. After the online publication of the story, she issued a statement through her attorney that said, as I've said before, there's the discredit stuff. Luna's persona has a hardline conservative who overcame steep personal odds, helped her flip Florida's newly redistricted 13th congressional seat to red last year, riding the support of Trump in a victory over Democrat candidate Eric Lynn, House of New Republicans, but there's fabrications just like George Santos. Central to Luna's political identity is a dramatic life story that she laid out on her campaign trail, that she had survived an armed robbery by age 9 and that her grandmother had died of HIV and AIDS from heroin use. In text messages and emails to the Post, Luna's mother, Monica, affirmed her daughter's account of these incidents. Her story is layered and complex because my story is layered and complex, and it took me a difficult time to come to grips with it. Broken home mentality, a lot of insight as to how things work, struggles growing up. The only source of meaningful financial support for the family had to rely on welfare, which now, of course, social programs like this, they try and crap on as much as possible. And I had a life that looked like one thing. In reality, there was a side that people didn't know. Monica Luna wrote, that's her mother. Other relatives have different recollections, saying that Luna and her mother were supported by an extended family. So she was saying she had to really rely on just her mother, but the relatives are saying no, there was a rather large nuclear family that was helping everybody out. The whole family raised her. The cousin said, my dad was part of her life when she was younger. We all coddled her. She shared photos showing the two girls growing up together into early adulthood, including a snapshot from a birthday party when they were young. She was always part of everything, all these gatherings and activities. I mean, these two don't look incredibly hardship over here, but a picture is not always worth 1,000 words. She had everything what she needed and more, said Jolanta Meyerhofer, who would be Nicole Meyerhofer's mother, Jolanta. And not only did Monica provide for her, but my father in law did too. Another family who spoke on the condition of anonymity said the relatives were always involved in her life. Um, Monica is disputing her commentary, and especially when she was saying barely spent any time with them in her entire life and called it a complete fabrication. So, I mean, there's a lot of infighting here in the family as to what the narrative is. The Post was not able to locate any public records or felony charges or prison sentences for George Meyerhofer in California. Meyerhofer died in a car accident in Florida last year. This is a little interesting that she's in Florida and the dad died in Florida. I'm not saying she had anything to do with it. Don't think that. I'm saying she was in California, he was in California. She's in Florida, he's in Florida. Is there potentially a relationship after all? According to Monica and Jolanta, George Meyerhofer had several short stints in jail for not paying child support. Monica said he spent at least 1 year in jail for a drug-related charge, and the time he served was in Orange County. A spokesperson for Orange County and the Santa Ana jail told the Post they have no records. This is big. She's over on Twitter laughing and saying, "Oh, they can't dig up the arrest records," but you have a county corrections department and a jail saying we don't have records of George being here. So I'm inclined to believe the county and the jail over her, to be honest. In 97, when she was 8, her mother married a man who was a sales manager, according to the Orange County Register. At the time, she worked as an elementary school teacher in the Santa Ana School District, where she was employed from 97 to 2000. During that marriage, Monica served as the vice president of the Moms Club, and it was noted that Monica Luna's 15-year-old daughter, Anna, helped pack boxes of donations for the drive at their home in Aliso Vallejo. People should remember that we are fortunate to have so many blessings. Anna told the reporter, taking care of foster children. Now that is so cool. Huh. Seems like they were well enough to do these kinds of things. She eventually decided to leave Los Angeles when she was 19, and she enlisted in the Air Force. She saw how much I struggled and how much I worried about student loans, so that she joined the Air Force to take care of everything by herself. At Missouri Whiteman's AFB, where Luna served as a airfield operations manager. By the way, she never saw any combat. She never left the United States at all. Keep that in mind when she likes to talk about the military and everything. Some of her peers thought she came from a well-off family. She wore designer clothing and mentioned at the times having nannies as a kid. They recalled her talking about her wanting to be a Maxim model. According to the biography of Luna on the website of Tapusa, Charlie Kirk's Seven Head place. She modeled professionally as a means for paying for expenses that the GI Bill did not cover. It has been said that she worked in a gentleman's club, so she was essentially a stripper. If we can pause for a moment here and reflect on just how many conservative icons have ties to things like exploretalent.com and all that, I really find it funny. It's like these conservatives seem to dig from a pool of people and grab them out of there and say, okay, you're going to do a thing for us now. We are going to prop you up to be on the American stage. And they dig them out of this interesting genetic pool. Melissa Caron, the infamous After David's lady from back during the time of voting, the one who was often in court next to Rudy and seemingly drunk as shit. She was from exploretalent.com. Lauren Boebert is from exploretalent.com. Candace Owens is from exploretalent.com. Her story is quite interesting in the fact that she says that she was originally left, but when she tried to break into the anti-bullying campaign sphere, Zoe Quinn essentially ran her out of the business because I believe maybe what Candace Owens wanted to do was dox people who were doing the bullying, and Zoe, I think, was saying, like, you can't do that. Or maybe it's reversed. Maybe Zoe wanted to do doxing, but Candace said you can't go that far. Apparently, the two had a falling out, and Candace likes to blame Zoe for that being the reason as to why she left the liberal online sphere, because Zoe ran her out and caused trouble for her. Uh, that's I'm I don't even know what to think about that. But they're all coming from exploretalent.com. It's really interesting. It's like Tinder for on stage people for the Conservative Party. Those who knew her at the time said she was largely apolitical, but she had expressed support for Obama, and Brooks, her roommate at the time, described her as being liberal. At the time, the two women were living in a off-base apartment. The post has pictures showing her shimmering in gowns at a gala, taking sneaky photos of each other napping in the back of a car, and posting on Facebook about their best friend jokes and best friend status and everything. In a 2019 clip from a speaking engagement posted to Luna's YouTube, Luna said that while she was stationed at Whiteman, she experienced a home invasion at 4 a.m., blaming the landlord. Had my friend Jeremy not been there to protect me, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be standing here right now. My landlord was not breaking into my house at 4 a.m. to see how I was doing. But Brooks said in an interview she was not aware of such an early morning incident taking place, but rather it was a daytime break in that occurred when Luna wasn't home. A report from the Warrensburg Police Department obtained by the Post describes the July 20 episode as a burglary not in progress. The incident said they found the rear door to the residence standing open. In a response, the landlord changed the locks and the deadbolts and the latches, the report said. However, women continued to find the door open and unlocked, prompting them to temporarily stay elsewhere for several days, the report said. One day, Luna came by the apartment and sprinkled baby powder on the floor in front of the doors before leaving. So we're basically trying to do a paranormal activities over here. Ghosts, Scooby. Brooks, who was the only person named as being interviewed by the police after the break-in, returned later to check on the apartment and then called the police because somebody had gained entry to the residence. When police arrived, Brooks showed them what appeared to be a heavy tread of a left boot in the powder exiting the premises. Desk drawers were open and gone through, and there was a used condom lying on the floor that Brooks advised was not from her. The landlord's name was redacted, and she said this was an enduring trauma. When I was stationed in Missouri, I had somebody who broke into my house. I didn't have a firearm. It wasn't until I got stationed in Florida that I got my concealed carry, so I've lived in circumstances and in states where gun control was pushed. Typical conservative narratives. I got a gun because now I can get a gun because bad things happen. She spent 6 years in the military. She met her husband, Andrew Gimbursky, an Air Force Special Operations veteran who was wounded during his second combat deployment. She trained at Lackland, Kessler Air Force bases. She graduated from the University of West Florida with a degree in biology, and now she's in politics. She worked at times as a model, a cocktail waitress in a gentleman's club, and an Instagram influencer. This is not a job. That is a lifestyle. I don't consider that as a job, even if you get paid ridiculously for it and you view it as a job. I'm sorry, right now, things like that are a lifestyle. Um, Twitch streamers, YouTube streamers, that is their sole force of income, and they focus on that. That is a job. This is a lifestyle. Her prominence began in 2018 after online statements she made about human trafficking, and it caught the attention of Seven Head Charlie Kirk. Um, Kirk brought Luna on as the director of Hispanic engagement. So I think basically Kirk was using her as a token. Like, hey, it's like when Trump says, "Hey, where's my black guy? Where's my black guy?" and then turns and finds him in the audience. That seems to be what Luna is over here. When she first registered to vote in Florida, she identified herself as white, not of Hispanic origin. But in 2019, after the 2018 stuff with Charlie Sevenhead, she's now updated her ethnicity to be Hispanic. That same year, 29, she filed a petition in Washington State requesting her name changed to Luna. In the petition, which was reviewed by the Tampa Bay Times, she said, "I want to represent my Hispanic heritage and have the same last name as my mother." Um, Anna has never not identified as being Hispanic, as far as I know, according to what her mom says. She can check both boxes. She's bicultural, biracial. It's not easy to figure out which box to choose. The mother is happy. She's remembering the cultural heritage. And she identifies, oh, here's the Jewish and Christian part that we've already gone over. Here's the Nazi grandfather. Monica Luna said she had never heard that Luna's grandfather had Nazi ties. She noted that Luna is estranged from Edward Mayhofer, who is the brother of Luna's father, and publicly raised inconsistencies with the biography on social media during her first bid for Congress. In response, Luna filed a request for a stalking injunction because she didn't like what she was hearing. The relationship between the cousins deteriorated after Luna filed the stalking injunction against Nicole Mayhofer's father. According to Nicole, which is the cousin, this is typical. I mean, this is what's going on with George Santos. It's what's going on with the party of conservative values who have divorces and bang porn stars and cheat on their husbands with tantric gym rat sex gurus who shave their chest hair in the shape of Zangief. I mean, this is it's just typical. And was it? Wait a minute, I saw some. I just think Maya Flores. Yeah. Um. Actually, wait a minute. Maybe it's Maya Flores who is the one that Democrat. Maybe it was Maya Flores who was the one that was complaining that all of the left people go after her for being Hispanic and everything, but actually it's been the conservatives that have been after her. Let's see. Republicans against Myra Flores. Okay. Yeah, it might have been her, but then lost Tuesday against Democratic. It might have been Maya who was the one who was saying, "Oh, the left is attacking me. The left is attacking me." But then it was conservatives that were against her. I think maybe for a gun-related stance or a red flag law. But I mean, this is basically what we have here is George Santos an address, and it's going to be very interesting to see when this all plays out as to who was actually doing the lying. Was it the Wapo, or was it Luna the whole way through? And the inconsistencies coming from within the family certainly do seem like potentially it is Anna Luna who is the one who's going to get busted for the lying here. And it just seems like, based on what I've seen for other women that are on the grand stage for the Conservative Party in the United States, again, it seems like somebody who is plucked out of relative obscurity and potentially promised things or said, like, hey, we need a fresh young face, especially a fresh young minority face. Could you do stuff for us? And that seems to be the case here from Luna. It just reminds me a lot of Melissa Carone and Bobert and what those two have done for the right wing media. So, what do you think about Anna Luna? Do you think it's going to go more along the lines of what she said, that the article was comical and filled with a total number of inaccuracies? Or do you think WAPO was going to be able to stand behind this and say, yeah, we issued our corrections, but we did our due diligence on this one? Anyways, Political Napalm signing off.